Perhaps on your way home, someone will pass you in the dark, and you will never know it, for they will be from outer space.
In case you pass out, that's tough.
All of us on this earth know that there is a time to live, and that there is a time to die.
Oh boy, here we go. What do you know about Ed Wood? Edward D. Wood Jr. is the director that is most famous for all the wrong reasons. Working outside the confines of Hollywood directing one low-budget schlockfest after another, he would eventually go on to earn the title Worst Director of All Time. He was at his most prolific during the 1950s, releasing several horror and science fiction films. His story is very interesting, but a little too much to go into here. If you would like to know a little more, I would highly recommend watching the Tim Burton classic, Ed Wood, from 1994. It's one of my personal favorite films and gives great insight into the eccentric director. But Wood's other work is simply a footnote compared to today's movie, the movie that truly earned him his title. The movie that itself was dubbed the worst movie of all time. This is Ed Wood's masterpiece, his magnum opus. This is Plan 9 from Outer Space.
To get that funny odor? How could I miss it?
Released in 1959, Plan 9 from Outer Space is a prime example of what immediately comes to mind when you think of 1950s B-movies. From the nonsensical script to terrible acting.
Did you hear anything?
I thought it did. Don't like hearing noises, especially when ain't supposed to be any. Yeah, sort of spooky-like.
I'm muzzled by army brass.
Poor effects, and seemingly no care for actual quality. This is everything I love so much about these movies.
It was when the gravediggers started their task that strange things began to take place.
So, what is this movie? Aliens are attempting to take over Earth, and they're enacting Plan 9.
What plan will you follow now?
Plan 9.
Never mind what plans 1 through 8 were, that's not important. Plan 9 involves raising an army of zombies to take over the globe.
As long as they can think, we'll have our problems. But those whom we're using cannot think. They are the dead, brought to a simulated life by our electrode guns. You know, it's an interesting thing when you consider the Earth people who can think are so frightened by those who cannot, the dead.
Although I suppose it's not much of an army really, it's just 3 people, but the aliens seem awfully proud of it.
And what has this added time gained, Euros?
We have successfully risen 3 of the dead ones.
What? How many people have you resurrected? I'd like to see you do better. Can the humans stop this threat before we get a 4th? Much like other movies of the era, Plan 9 attempts to have an anti-war message with the aliens warning humanity of the dangers of creating more and more advanced weapons.
Explode the sunlight here, gentlemen. You explode the universe.
I'm sure the message is deep with good intentions, but it unfortunately will get lost on most people because the movie is just so fucking funny.
You see? You see? Your stupid minds. Stupid! Stupid! That's all I'm taking from you. Get back here, you jerk!
The true appeal of Plan 9 is just how poorly made it is. There are so many things to draw attention to, so I'm just going to rapid fire some of my highlights. We've got the boom mic making a special guest appearance on more than one occasion. There's this tiny ass crypt people can barely fit in. It's in a famously fake cemetery with cardboard tombstones. Ooh, watch your step. There's this weird fence in the background. Our main hero compares a flying saucer to a cigar.
It was shaped like a huge cigar.
Yeah, a cigar. There's this quote about small towns.
Then they attacked a town. A small town, I'll admit, but nevertheless a town of people. People who died.
There's a part where the alien leader looks over the plan and oh my god, he's reading the script, isn't he? He's also dressed in some sort of medieval costume. The scenes randomly switch between night and day, the difference is obvious. The resurrected detective is too big for the grave, so he gets stuck, and our vampiric-looking friend here makes sure to fix his cape during an attack. Remember to keep that face hidden, you're supposed to be pretending to be Bela Lugosi. That reminds me. Plan 9 from Outer Space stars a motley crew of misfits Ed Wood gathered through his past work, one of which was the iconic Bela Lugosi. Long past his glory days of playing Dracula in the 30s, he became good friends with Ed as he was the only director willing to give him work and care about him. This would become his final film, and Lugosi sadly passed away during production. It's ironic that the actor that played arguably the most important role in all of horror spent his final days making what would be known as the worst film ever made.
The old man left that home, never to return again.
But, as they say, the show must go on, even if it's without the big star. To keep the film rolling, Wood famously made the decision to replace Lugosi with his wife's chiropractor because they had a similar forehead. Yes, really. As a result, the chiropractor constantly hides his face with his cape, like a kid pretending to be a vampire. It's hilarious. The rest of the cast includes the amazing Criswell, a TV psychic known for inaccurate predictions. His main role is to read off lines that can only be described as insane.
And remember, my friend, future events such as these will affect you in the future.
There was Swedish wrestler Tor Johnson, who plays a detective for some reason.
I'm a big boy now, Johnny.
There is no reason for this man to play a detective.
Medical examiner been around yet?
What was that?
Have one of the boys take the guy and the girl back to town. You take charge.
Okay, Inspector. What are you going to do?
Look around a little.
Last but not least, the original Goth Queen is here too. Vampira, a horror TV host that inspired future acts like the iconic Elvira, joins the cast. She plays the first zombie to be resurrected. Allegedly, Vampira refused to speak any lines written for her, and instead just sort of wiggles her arms around for intimidation.
Why do I always get hooked up with these spook details? Monsters, graves, bodies. Oh, all right.
You know what? Fuck it. This movie is perfect. 10 out of 10. I can't even pretend to hate it.
You didn't actually think you were the only inhabited planet in the universe. How can any race be so stupid?
Yeah, it's poorly made and is incredibly silly, but it's well paced and so much fun to watch. Just seeing videos about Plan 9 do not do it justice. You simply must see it to believe it.
Oh, Lieutenant, maybe this doesn't mean much, but Jamie Meade found a grave that looks like it's been busted into.
What? Where?
Why?
Come on, man, out with it. We haven't got all day to waste.
Just over there beyond the crib.
All right, show us the way.
It's clearly a passion project, and I feel that Ed Wood has been mocked and laughed at long enough. This is a man that clearly loved what he did, and if he had a vision, he would make it happen no matter what. The result is one of the biggest cult classics of all time.
Violent. No use of the mind God gave you.
You talk of God?
You also think it impossible that we, too, might think of God?
Sure, it's known as the worst of all time, but is it?
You do not need guns.
Maybe we think we do.
They would be of no use to you now.
They've been mighty useful before on flesh and blood. And you two look like you've got a lot of both.
True.
Is it worse than Killers from Space?
Our eyes developed to this state to combat the ever-growing darkness.
I don't think so. It's time Ed Wood gets more respect. Best director of all time.
That's the end of that one.
Plan 9 from Outer Space is a must-watch. You'll never see anything like this.
Pleasant nightmares, friends.
Good midnight to you.